Homeless after weeks of bombardment, Ashraf Nafeth Abu Salem and his family have taken shelter in a place few would expect, the damaged residence of late Palestinian leader Yasser Arafat in Gaza City. The house, located in central Gaza City, bears the deep scars of recent bombardments. Walls are cracked, ceilings are caved in, and the familiar portrait of Arafat hangs crookedly amid broken furniture and scattered relics. Abu Salem and his family are among tens of thousands who fled northern Gaza, where weeks of bombardment left neighborhoods uninhabitable. My home is in the northern region, which was almost completely devastated, Abu Salem says. There were no signs of life left, and there's little hope at the moment that anyone will return to rebuild homes. The infrastructure was ruined, and disease had spread widely. The once bustling districts of Beit Lahia and Jabalia are now scenes of near total destruction. Roads are impassable, power lines are severed, and clean water remains scarce. Gaza's health authorities say infectious diseases have surged due to the collapse of sanitation systems and overcrowded displacement shelters. For Abu Salem, the decision to move into the former residence of Yasser Arafat was not one of sentiment, but survival. After walking through the devastated neighborhood, he found the house in ruins, walls scorched, furniture burnt, and debris piled high across the floors. Still, it offered more protection than the makeshift tents many families have resorted to. The president's residence was in ruins, bombed and destroyed, he recalls. When I walked through the neighborhood, I found some young men in the alley. I asked their permission, saying, "Would it be all right if my family and I stayed in this house for a while?" They replied, "If you can manage to live there despite the destruction, then go ahead." So I called my family and told them, "What do you think about staying here temporarily until we find a proper shelter or a place to rent?" Inside, Abu Salem has begun clearing rubble and rearranging what remains of the home. His efforts are modest, sweeping broken glass, stacking fallen bricks, and salvaging any usable items. For him and his family, the space offers at least partial shelter from the elements. In a corner, he keeps a few of his academic books stacked neatly beside a damaged portrait of Arafat meeting with Morocco's King Mohammed VI. I began cleaning it as the house was full of debris. It was largely destroyed and torched, he says. Once a landmark associated with the late leader known to Palestinians as Abu Ammar, the house now represents something very different, both memory and necessity. Its remaining walls are marked by bullet holes and scorch marks, and its garden has become an improvised drying area for laundry strung between concrete pillars. Yet for Abu Salem, it also carries a symbolic link to the past. We belong to the generation of the first Intifada, he explains. We grew up as the stone-throwing children. For us, President Abu Ammar was a role model and an example of Palestinian national struggle. The home, though damaged, still displays murals and sculptures depicting Arafat alongside the Dome of the Rock, reminders of his enduring legacy within Palestinian society. In Gaza, many residents still refer to Arafat's era as one of national unity and international recognition, in contrast to the deep political division that has defined the territory since 2007. Across Gaza, displacement has reached unprecedented levels. The United Nations Relief and Works Agency, UNRWA, estimates that hundreds of thousands remain without permanent shelter. Temporary housing has been established in schools, mosques and abandoned buildings, but conditions remain dire. Fuel shortages and limited access to humanitarian aid have compounded the crisis, leaving most families reliant on irregular food distributions. The destruction of infrastructure across the enclave has made movement difficult. In northern Gaza, entire residential blocks have been flattened, and what remains of hospitals and universities function intermittently, depending on generator fuel. With winter approaching, humanitarian groups warn that exposure and waterborne disease could push the population into deeper catastrophe. In central Gaza, the ruins of Yasser Arafat's home have become both refuge and relic, a structure where history and hardship now intersect. Footage from the scene shows Abu Salem walking slowly through darkened corridors, brushing dust from portraits and straightening frames depicting moments from Arafat's diplomatic past. The images are striking. The home of a leader once at the center of Palestinian nationhood, now housing civilians displaced by war. Outside, children play among piles of debris, while women hang clothes to dry against the cracked exterior walls. The faint traces of daily life persist, even as destruction surrounds them. For many Gazans, survival now depends on adaptation, finding safety wherever possible, even in the ruins of history. As Abu Salem sits reading from a salvaged book in what was once Arafat's office, he speaks with quiet resolve. He knows this arrangement is temporary, but he also understands that return to his own home in northern Gaza remains impossible for now. Entire neighborhoods there have been declared uninhabitable, and reconstruction has yet to begin. The Gaza municipality says it lacks the machinery, manpower, and materials to clear debris at the current scale. International agencies have urged safe humanitarian corridors to deliver construction supplies, but ongoing insecurity has slowed coordination. Residents continue to rely on local volunteers and community efforts to clean and rebuild on their own. Meanwhile, Gaza's cultural landmarks, including museums and archives, have also suffered extensive damage. Heritage advocates warn that key sites documenting Palestinian national history may be lost if emergency preservation is not initiated soon. Arafat's former residence, though severely damaged, still stands as one of the few structures in the area that can be partially rehabilitated. The decision of Abu Salem's family to move in has drawn attention among neighbours and online, where images of the professor cleaning the hallways circulated as symbols of resilience. But for him, it is a matter of basic survival, not defiance or symbolism. With limited options, he turned to a place that, despite its ruin, still had walls and a roof. Humanitarian workers in Gaza note that families like his represent a growing trend. Displaced civilians taking shelter in any structure left standing, regardless of ownership or condition. Many properties, including schools, public buildings, and historical sites, have become impromptu shelters, illustrating the scale of Gaza's housing crisis. The situation underscores the broader humanitarian emergency across the enclave. According to UN figures, nearly every resident of Gaza has been affected by displacement, either directly or through damage to homes and infrastructure. Health facilities are stretched beyond capacity, and water treatment plants operate at a fraction of their former output. The local education system has largely ceased functioning, with schools converted into relief centres. Inside Arafat's damaged home, fragments of the past remain scattered: old photographs, books, and a wall sculpture depicting the late leader beside the Dome of the Rock. For Abu Salem, these remnants are not just decoration, they represent the continuity of Palestinian memory amid destruction. The house, he says, feels like a reminder that even leadership and history are not immune to the consequences of war. Despite the devastation, he continues to hold classes remotely when internet access allows, helping his university students continue their studies from displacement shelters. He insists that education remains a form of resistance and recovery. Outside, life continues in small gestures: a child sweeping dust from a doorstep, a mother boiling water over open fire, neighbours sharing bread across collapsed fences. Each scene reflects the daily reality of a population enduring one of the world's most prolonged humanitarian crises. As night falls over Gaza City, the silhouette of Arafat's damaged home stands against a skyline of ruins and flickering generator lights. For the Abu Salem family, it remains both shelter and symbol. A fragile refuge built on the remnants of history. In the heart of Gaza's destruction, a displaced family now lives within the walls once occupied by a national leader. The transformation of Yasser Arafat's home into a haven for the displaced captures a broader truth about the crisis, where history's landmarks have become the last sanctuaries of survival.